Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing, except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded. But Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God." She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come on, sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand as he ran from the house. When she saw that she was holding his cloak and he had fled, she called out to her servants. Soon all the men came running. "Look," she said, "my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away, but he left his cloak behind with me." She kept the cloak with her until her husband came home. Then she told him her story. "That Hebrew slave you've brought into our house tried to come in and fool around with me," she said. "But when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me." Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her. So he took Joseph and threw him into the prison where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him his faithful love, and the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed.
So today we are really diving deep, like way back in time, to the book of Genesis, chapter 39.
Okay.
And it's about this guy, Joseph. And, well, his story is just wild.
Yeah, Genesis is full of them, huh?
Totally. But this one, it's got these crazy twists and turns. And the thing is, it's still so relatable, even today. We're talking favoritism, betrayal, resilience, like the whole shebang.
It's like the themes are timeless or something.
Right, exactly. So, okay, let's set the scene. Joseph, he's been sold into slavery by his own brothers.
They're brutal.
No kidding, right? Talk about family drama. So there he is in Egypt working for this powerful official named Potiphar. And I mean, this is bad, but there's this line that keeps popping up in the text. The Lord was with Joseph.
Oh, yeah, that's important. It's like this recurring motif. Even in the darkest times, you get these glimpses of hope, like this divine favor following Joseph.
It makes you think, like, when you're going through something rough, what is it that keeps you going?
Definitely.
He's going to need something to keep him going because, well, things are about to get really complicated. Like, at first, it seems like it's all working out. Joseph is, like, crushing it. He's basically running Potiphar's whole operation, right?
He's trusted, clearly.
Totally. The text even says Potiphar was so relaxed, his only concern was, like, what to eat for dinner.
That's a pretty great testament to Joseph's success right there. He wasn't just a slave. He was in a position of authority because he earned it.
It's true. But here's where things take a turn. Enter Potiphar's wife. And let me tell you, she's got her own ideas about Joseph.
Oh.
Yeah. This is where the story gets juicy. So Potiphar's wife, she develops a bit of a crush on Joseph.
A bit.
Okay, maybe more than a bit. And she's not exactly being subtle about it.
And what does Joseph do?
Well, to his credit, he completely shuts it down, and not because he's afraid of Potiphar's reaction, but because he knows it would be a great sin against God. What do you think about that, like how he reacts in that moment?
It's huge. It shows his character. This isn't just some rule book for him, his faith. It's deeply ingrained in who he is. It makes you think about what you're willing to stand up for when the stakes are high.
Yeah, the stakes are high because here's the thing. Doing the right thing doesn't always guarantee a happy ending, you know?
Unfortunately, no.
Potiphar's wife, she is not happy. She's angry, feels rejected, and so she does what people do sometimes. She makes up this whole story, accuses Joseph of, well, of assaulting her.
Wow.
And guess what happens? Joseph ends up in prison.
It's so unjust. And that's the thing about this story. It highlights this difficult truth about life sometimes. No matter how good you are, how much you do the right thing, bad stuff happens.
You're in prison, falsely accused. I mean, talk about a low point.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the text still says the Lord was with Joseph. And get this, he ends up basically running the prison too.
Wait, what? How does that even happen?
The warden sees something in him, trusts them, and puts him in charge.
It's wild. It's like this echo of his time in Potiphar's house, right? Doesn't matter where he is, what situation he's thrown into, Joseph's inner strength, his faith, it shines through.
It's incredible. This whole story, it's just a few verses, but it really makes you think. What stands out to you?
For me, it's those bigger questions it raises. Like, how does power work? What does it really mean to resist temptation? Yeah. And that whole struggle between staying true to yourself and dealing with a world that doesn't always play fair.
I like that. So much to think about. It makes me wonder, has there ever been a time when you were in a situation like Joseph's, where you had to choose between what you knew was right and, well, the easier path? Something to ponder, everyone.